request by Northwestern Public Service. Came in late. We can either do it tonight or we can do it in 2 weeks.
Do it tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right in the area.
All right,
People
the
might
request
come in.
is for 2 additional 15-minute parking signs,
Oh, we
right in front of their business,
I'm sure.
because they have,
drop off payments.
yes, they have 300 customers a day, 1,500 a week. So
So is this a bigger problem than just?
It's going the other way.
they're not, well, they're not concerned about the ones on the corners. They're just requesting 2, if we do this, 2 additional ones right
Oh,
in
if
front of.
we do.
Yeah, if we do this, yeah,
Oh.
2 additional ones, so their customers do have places to pull in,
Oh, yes.
so.
There was reasons why they were.
Okay, with that, a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Move?
I'll second.
Move and second, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. First item is a request to suspend the 15-minute parking and 10-minute parking on 6th and Main and 5th and Main during the Corn Palace construction. Did speak with all the area businesses, and basically they all support it.
And how many spots is it exactly that would be removed?
I think there's,
I'm not
like
familiar with
8 or 10, and there's that 10-minute one in front of Sherwin-Williams, and they were fine to give that up also. The only thing was Northwestern Public Service asked if they could have 2 15-minute parking in front of their business 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
2 additional or 2 just only? Only 2.
Well, there's none there now.
Okay.
Yeah, we would move 2 of them to and right in front of their business. They don't care about the ones in the corner, and they'll open, they're good to open them up around the Corn Palace and around the other businesses, but they just have so many customers that come in. And actually, Craig said he couldn't make it tonight. He can be here in 2 weeks, but
There's another one from,
is anybody here from Northwestern? Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah, representing Northwestern Energy, and what we would like to see is if you remove the 4 existing 15-minute parking zones, then we would like to request 2 additional ones, or not 2 additional, but 2 located in front of our office. We average just over 3,000 walk-in and drop-box customers a month, and it's pretty significant, you know, but that's what we're asking. That's if they
Yep.
remove the others.
That's if they remove the other one.
Yes.
And that would only be for the construction phase of the Corn Palace, right? If we put the other ones back in 11 months or so, you'd be good
I
to,
guess we didn't discuss that, Lyndon.
I guess,
If we
I
get
guess we
two,
can
we may
discuss
really
that at
like
the
'em.
time.
yeah, I guess I have that overall question. So if we do this, are we going, should we come back a year from After it's now over. or after
Yeah.
and figure out what the final proper protocol should be, or if there are additional requests?
Yeah, I don't think, we wouldn't have an issue if it went back to the way it is,
Right.
but if you wanted to discuss some alternative later, we'd definitely be open to it.
Okay.
And long-term, we won't be there for too many more years.
Right.
So,
All right.
Yeah.
Anybody else care to address this? If you do, step forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. What's your wishes?
Well, you know, they were put in place for a reason, and I know we've got the construction, going on. There's only 4 of them, and they're strategically placed right now where it canvases the whole block.
The 5th and Main has 4 also. We're talking 5th and Main and 6th and
And
There
it's,
are 8.
Main. Yeah, but some of them aren't usable because they're in this 600 block North Main where the construction zone is.
okay. When the young lady came up a couple weeks ago, she was saying that they're looking at the signs and then just taking off. I'm assuming that was the ones on 6th and Main that they can't park anyway.
I don't know, she mentioned 5th and Main several times, but
Why don't you come up and address us in
Sorry. Jessica Burns, and I'm from the scoreboard. I've been there since 2008.
Can you back up from the microphone just a little bit? There we go.
And I brought it up And food takes about more than 15 minutes to make. You enjoy it. You look around at Corn Palace and shop. These are the reasons why I bring it up right outside the scoreboard. And I understand Northwestern Energy, and I'm fine with that. And as for Moonlight, when they cook Monday through Saturday between 8 and 5, all the buses that pull up here and walk around, cars that pull up, and they do pull away. And I worked last weekend, Saturday, Sunday. I'm doing about 40 hours in 2 weeks over there, and I'm watching the traffic jam, literally. And was just wondering if 11 months we could either up the time on it or just take the signs down so people can feel comfortable pulling up and parking, getting out, walking around, choosing where they want to eat, shopping, taking their pictures. It's a really hard spot for the scoreboard that's a city-owned business to do any business when we're blocked from the west, the north, and the east to get to our little parking lot on the east side. The only way to get to us is through the south alley that, thank you for paving a few years ago, because a lot of people take it by foot, by bike, by car, just to try to get to our back parking lot to come and eat or to enjoy the patio in the evening. And I do have a bunch of pictures on my phone from all these 15-minute signs that we're talking about. And I did email only a couple to Mayor Ken Tracy. However you decide, it's just an issue, I believe.
One of the business owners did remind me that, she said, be prepared if the other employees may be parking there. So that's the reason we ran into this.
I'd suggest getting some bike racks around Main Street because a lot of us ride our bikes to work, who work at Scoreboard, who work at Moonlight, and right now we're just parking our bikes and hitching them to the white fence or to the post of the business. There's no bike racks like there are at the movie theater or the library or the school. So maybe we need a little more bike racks because our vehicles, and we work around here, yeah, you're right, don't fit because we're welcoming other people into the community right now.
Would Fifth and Main lot work for that, the bikes?
A bike rack down there would be great. We're trying to not cause too much of a traffic jam.
Anybody else?
Well, I'd have no problem putting two 10-minute signs or 15-minute signs in front of Northwestern Public Service. They've got 3,000 customers per month. It's a lot of business.
8 to 5, Monday through Friday?
8 to 5, and after 5, it's, I know during the noon hour, they might have to find a spot somewhere else besides right next to the scoreboard, but we've got another business too that requests 15
Does Jerry, would 8 to 5, Monday through Friday work?
Yeah, that's perfect.
You want to give the other ones a try and take them down, or?
I'd make a motion to request to suspend the 15-minute parking, 10-minute parking on 6th and Main, 5th and Main during Corn Palace construction, and add the two 10-minute parking signs in front of the Northwestern Public Service until the construction season's down, then they can come back up and we can look at it.
Okay, I have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Got a question. Dan, are you saying that when construction is done, the signs automatically go back up, or we review it? We review it. We make sure that,
Review all of them?
all of them,
Okay,
all of them.
all right.
And we make sure that that then comes back in
Okay.
April or May or June or whenever construction is done. I don't know.
Keep going. Okay. Never run that. 8 to 5 Monday.
Targeted for April.
That's 10-minute parking Monday through Friday, right?
That's
8 to
correct.
5. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Next, the Corn Palace Festival Committee is requesting the following for Corn Palace Festival. North Main Street and a half block each direction from 1st to 7th on Tuesday, August 19th at 5 a.m. to Monday, August 25th at 5 a.m. Closure of the west half of City Hall parking lot from 6 a.m. on Tuesday, August 19th to 5 a.m. on Monday, August 25th. enclosure of Fifth and Main parking lot on Monday, August 20th at 5 a.m. to Monday, August 25th at noon. And also allowing overnight camping in the disco lot for Carnival Company workers, which is the 800 block of North Wallet. This is our typical request. Same as before. Yep.
I'll move approval of agenda item 2.
Motion, second by Tronis. Any discussion or any input on this?
I'm not on the committee, but this is an appropriate place, I think, to make this comment, and it's directed more at Jerry and the mayor. Last year during the Corn Palace shows, I had a number of people complain to me that they could not get into the Corn Palace before the show actually started. And there's really 3 lines. There's the line to get in, then there's the line for concessions, then there's the line for beer. And I'm not a beer guy, but I came at 6:30, and I sat in my seat at 7:05, and all I did was get into the building. And the reason I'm mentioning this, we just had the Corn Palace tour. We now have only one door instead of the 2 or 3. We now have only one way in instead of the 2. So I'm hoping that the Corn Palace committee, the mayor, Jerry, whoever, get together and open the doors at 5:45 or 6 o'clock or do something to get people in the place, because we had complaints last year when we were open and fully functioning. I can only imagine what it's going to be like this year. People trying to snake in the one door from 2 directions. So anyway, I just offer that for whatever it's worth. This obviously should go through, but I think we're going to have some other issues.
Okay, other comments? Kevin? Got it, thank you. Correction will be Wednesday, August 20th at 5 a.m. to Monday, August 25th at noon. A motion and a second. Any other comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Next, a request from Tuer Corn Committee to block up a portion of City Hall parking lot and adjacent streets and block in the 100 block of East 7th on Saturday, August 23rd from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. for registration and for a police escort and traffic control at 23rd and Main Street at 9:30 a.m. This is a year after year request also.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any input or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Next traffic commission meeting is scheduled for Monday, August 18th, 2014. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We'll be adjourned.
All right, we will call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
And we've got one item, and it's the second quarter 2011 sales tax collections. Marilyn.
Okay, I think all the council members have a copy of the report. First and second penny for 2014, we have a decrease of about 0.75% from 2.327 million 2013 for the first 6 months to 2,309,000 for first 6 months of 14. That's a decrease of a little over $18,000. While not, extremely significant, it does bear watching closely. For entertainment tax, 2013's collections for the first 6 months were $276,933. And at that point, it was a 1.13% increase through the first 6 months. For 14, we're at 1/4% increase. We're still up, but again, not significantly. Total collections for the first 6 months of 14 are $277,695. Any questions?
Questions or comments?
So with what you had estimated,
Well, the budgeted amount for 14 was $5,375,000, but that's been reduced. To 5,225. And what I will budget for 15 will also be reduced.
I know we've spent some money, but putting aside that basically extra $1 million was a smart thing to do. Because that, at this point, that can absorb the additional expenditures we've made for the lake, for example. And then this, I hate to say insignificant, but, you know, this loss so far.
It's still a decrease.
The year-over-year basis, is there a trend?
Well, part of what threw our figures off was the big hailstorm. And so we budget based on, you know, we're gonna make X amount over the previous year. We had the big hailstorm and it brought in a lot of money. And we budgeted off the hailstorm, and some of us had questions about that, but frankly, we're a lot closer than I ever thought we would be, given all the money, myself included, spent after the hailstorm, and all the construction and all the rest. So this is sort of good, bad news or bad, good news based on what we based our figures. So to me, that's the big anomaly, was the big hailstorm in May that kind of made for good news tax revenue-wise, because everybody was replacing the roofs and so forth.
And I think we'll still be in a good position going into budget, too.
Well, I think Marilyn pretty well nailed it on the head. I don't think it's anything to be alarming about, but it's something that we want to really monitor closely, so.
Well, I'll say one other thing. I continue to be amazed, Marilyn. I don't know where you put your crystal ball. But the fact that those figures that you cannot possibly know come in so close to your projections, I just think is, you know, I don't know if you have a deal with the devil or you read Gerald Barnes or what you do, but it's amazing to me.
Yeah. She's seen a few numbers over the years. So.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments? Anybody from the audience? We have not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have someone from Salvation Army here for invocation.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the blessing of this day you've given to us. Father, we pray that you'll watch over us during this council meeting. pray for the decisions that are made. Lord, we look to you for guidance and direction. In Christ we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Welcome to Mitchell.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Allen.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Dosher. Tronis.
Here.
Jarks.
Here.
Rice.
Here.
Harrington.
Having a quorum, we will convene the meeting. Councilman Dosher is on an excursion with students and not able to attend tonight's meeting. The next order of business is the oath of office to be issued to council members Steve Rice, Dave Tronis, Dave Allen, and Susan Jarks, who ran for election but were unopposed.
Ken, that's Dan Allen, not Dave.
I'm sorry. Oh,
I've been offended
all
before,
right.
Ken.
So if those individuals would stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me, and for those of you who made this new to you, everyone repeat their own name as well as their own position. I,
Susan Sharks,
having been elected to the office of councilperson within the city of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota,
Having been elected to the office of council member of Ward 1, within the city of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and the ordinances of said city of Mitchell,
and the ordinances of said city of Mitchell,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
perform all the duties of the office of councilperson
perform all the duties of the office of councilperson, Ward 4.
subscribed and sworn to me on this 7th day of July, 2014. Thank you. Congratulations. And now we will issue the oath of office to the department heads. The following, Billy Kelly, and Billy is on vacation this week. Shane Crow and these two will be sworn in at a later date, but Shane Crow will be the new Public Works Director and has not started yet. Lyndon Overwood, Chief of Public Safety. Jessica Pickett, Senior Services Director. Dustin Roddick, Parks and Recreation Director. Kevin Thurman, Golf Course and Cemetery Director. Marilyn Wilson, Finance Officer, and Carl Cook, City Attorney. So if all of you will step forward.
I don't have any objection to any of these, but why are we doing this now? Why aren't they good for your term? You see what I'm saying? Oh, good.
They're
Okay.
annual. And everyone, I guess council and the department heads are July 1 is the.
I see.
So if you will, all repeat after me. And state your name. I,
Carl Cook,
having been appointed to the office of within and for the city of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and the ordinances of said city of Mitchell, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform all the duties of this office on the state your office, please. Subscribed and sworn to me this 7th day of July, 2014. Congratulations. Thank you. Now we will have election of officers. First, President of the City Council. I would accept any nominations for President.
I would move that we nominate Jeff Smith, and that nomination cease, and he be elected by acclamation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to elect Jeff Smith as President of the City Council by unanimous acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations, Jeff. And now I will accept nominations for Vice President of the City Council.
Nominate Steve Rice.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other nominations?
I move that nomination cease, and we elect Steve Rice by unanimous ballot.
We have a motion and a second to elect Steve Rice as Vice President of the City Council by unanimous acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations, Steve.
Ken, I want to make one comment that sitting on the council and serving with you as mayor and having the quality of department heads that we have make this job actually pretty easy and also enjoyable because our city is well run. It really is. I receive very few complaints from people, and in all reality, it's amazing that when you look around our city and what we've got going for it, we really do have something going for us. And now that we've got our projects going too, it's just kind of neat to be involved in this community.
I would echo that sentiment. I think that we have an excellent council. You've been very good to work with, and our department heads work very closely with the council, I think, and I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish in the last few years, and I look forward to working with you as we move forward. Thank you.
I'd like Carl to look into this annual appointment business.
I'll do that.
The department heads serve at the pleasure of the mayor. So whether they take an oath for the mayor's term or for 1 year, it doesn't seem to me to make any difference. And it's just a few minutes, but I don't know why we should go through this every year.
Right, if my recollection is correct, but I will find the statute and provide it to you.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a state statute, it's a state statute. But if it's something we're doing, and they serve at the pleasure of the mayor anyway, and you can, they took the oath today, you could fire him tomorrow, then I don't see why we go
Well,
through
there
it
is a
every
slight
year.
difference in that if the mayor discharges a department head, he needs to report his reasons why to the city council. If he does not reappoint, then there is no reporting.
Oh, okay, I see.
There was a new law that was approved last year that allows the city to make the terms, I guess, of the appointed department heads longer than 1 year. They can still be
Serve at the pleasure.
at the pleasure of the mayor, but the terms can be longer, the appointment can be longer than 1 year.
We'll check it out.
Yeah, I think it's only fair to tell somebody why they're fired, so to me, it wouldn't make any difference.
Next, to approve the consent agenda items. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. Anything on there that anyone would like to remove?
I probably should remove E.
All of E or?
Well, E5, I'm on the board of the Indian Valley Expos. And so,
Anything else? Is there anyone from the public that would like anything removed from the consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. We'll have a roll call vote, please.
Barrington,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Tronis,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Jerks.
Aye.
Motion carried. Citizens input, if you need to address the mayor, members of the city council on an item that was not on the agenda, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Council, have anything?
I just have one thing, and I know Jeff and Steve were also at Brett Victor's funeral, and I don't, maybe some other people were too, I didn't see. But I'd just like to say to Kevin Thurman and his crew, how beautiful the cemetery looked, how well kept it was, and I was disturbed to read in the paper about the recent vandalism, but at a difficult time like that, to be in such a bucolic setting was really comforting. And then I'd also like to say to the chief of police that his officers, I don't know how many funerals they do. I see 5 or 6 obituaries in the paper every day. But those officers, with the solemnity that they had and the seriousness that they had, it was clear that it wasn't just another duty. And I know that several people commented to me both on the cemetery and on the demeanor of the officers and how much they appreciated it. So if you would pass my thanks on to those people, I'd appreciate it.
Lyndon, I just have one question. I saw in the paper a couple weeks ago, some lady was complaining about the 911 delay.
Right.
Can you explain that just so people understand?
Newspaper was doing a follow-up to that.
They- I-
Yeah, supposedly. What we've tracked back is it appears to be a phone company issue, okay? Which one, it appears some switch or something in Plankington did not function correctly. The call never did get to us, from what we could tell. But I believe there is going to be an explanation coming in the near future. I have talked, we did track it back to some phone companies, so the next day we got a trouble call from the actual Plankington station, or the building there, which indicated somebody had to physically go and check it out, and there was something was not functioning correctly. That would have caused the exact thing which she got as a fast busy signal, which she called 911.
So is there some countermeasure the phone company is doing?
They have, yeah, they did, and they installed some new trunking thing, and they've taken measures immediately as soon as they found out about it. Yep.
Yep, Lyndon, since you're up there and we're talking about 911, if you're having trouble on the interstate and you dial 911, what determines which area you go to?
Based on which tower you're going to hit and which county. Now, occasionally, if you're right on the border, like between McCook and Minnehaha, you may get Mitchell or you may get Sioux Falls. Okay, if you're in Minnehaha and we get the call, we're going to transfer you to Sioux Falls Metro. Same as if they get the call and it's actually in McCook or Hanson or anything like that, they'll transfer it over to Mitchell. Yeah, so that does happen occasionally.
Anything else? I brought this up at the department head meeting this morning, that several cities have jumped on board regarding the 125th anniversary of the statehood for the state of South Dakota. And I don't expect that we take any action tonight, but just maybe some thought be given to what or if the city of Mitchell wishes to participate and at what level. We are going to be on the route of the wagon train that starts in Yankton in September and ends in Pierre. And it's going to be an overnight stay here in Mitchell. And I talked to some people and they thought maybe that there might be something that we could do in regards to their stay, provide a meal or something of that sort. Whether or not we want to go over and above anything or whatever that we might want to do. It was recommended possibly that if we were going to have some sort of event, maybe and the overnight stay might be the event, that we have a committee that would be formed to, I guess, organize any activities that we might have.
Can you tell us what the date is?
Is what?
The date, what is the date of that?
I don't know specifically, September 10th, 13th, something like that, is when the wagon train will be here. It takes about 15 or 20 days, I think, from Yankton to Pier, and several overnights, obviously, during that time, and we will be one of those sites. So just something to think about. If you have some suggestions or ideas of what we might do, then let me know, and we'll try to formulate that. Thank you. Committee meetings, public properties.
Public Properties met tonight at 6:15, and Terry Johnson led a tour of the Corn Palace renovation with expert commentary by Dave Epp of Mueller Lumber and Eric Emil from MS&R. And it was very interesting to see. I wish the public would be able to see the progress inside. I have people say to me, well, there's not really too much going on at the Corn Palace. And outside, that's kind of true, but inside there's been major progress and much more progress come. So far, things look to be on schedule. We've run into a little difficulty with the elevator. We have to cut out 8 inches of concrete, more than we expected, so there'll be some additional cost and perhaps some delay there. But the tour ended and the committee adjourned at 7:08.
Traffic?
Traffic Commission met tonight at about 7:10. First item was they approved to suspend the 15-minute parking and 10-minute parking at 6th and Main and 5th and Main during the Corn Palace construction, and to install 2 10-minute parking spaces in front of Northwestern Energy in the 500 block North Main East Side. And this would all these conditions would take place until the construction is over, at which time it would be reviewed again. Next, they approved to block off and restrict parking on the North Main Street and a half block each direction from 1st to 7th on Tuesday, August 19th at 5 a.m. to Monday, August 25th at 5 a.m. and approved the closure of the west half of the City Hall parking from 6 a.m. on Tuesday, August 19th to 5 a.m. on Monday, August 25th, and approved the closure of 5th and Main parking lot on Wednesday, August 20th at 5 a.m. to Monday, August 25th at noon, and to allow overnight parking in the Disco parking lot for Carnival Company workers during this time. And next, they approved a request from Tour de Corn Committee to block off a portion of City Hall parking lot and the adjacent streets in the 100 block East 7th on Saturday, August 23rd from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. for registration and for police escort and traffic control at 23rd Main Street at 9:30 a.m. That was all we had.
Thank you. Finance?
Finance Committee met this evening at 7:22 p.m. And we had one item on the agenda, and it was the first and second sales tax for the second quarter of 2014. And it was reported that the first and second penny was down very so slightly, 0.78 of 1%. Very large numbers, 2.309 million of what we collected. A year ago was 2,327,000. So pretty consistent with where it was last year. We did budget a 2%, which was now adjusted down slightly, and we will closely monitor the sales tax. Then we also reviewed the entertainment tax. That actually showed a very slight increase of 2.7%, and it was 278,000 compared to 277,000. So we were up just a little over $1,000 with the entertainment tax. And again, that will be closely monitored also. And the committee adjourned at 7:29 p.m.
Entertain a motion to approve the committee reports.
Second.
Motion second to approve the committee reports. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And we will now address the consent agenda item that was removed, E5, which was the raffle request for the Mitchell Prehistoric Indian Village, with the drawing to be held on December 1st, 2014.
Move to approve the raffle.
Motion second to approve the raffle for the Mitchell Prehistoric Indian Village. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. one abstention. Entertain a motion for the city council to adjourn and sit as the Board of Adjustment.
So move.
Motion second to sit on the Board of Adjustment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Set the date of July 21st, 2014 for a hearing on the application of Scott Studer for a side yard on a corner lot variance of 16 feet instead of 20 as required to place a residence on the lot and construct an attached garage located at 120 East Douglas Avenue, legally described as Lot 6, Block 10, Van Epps First Edition, City of Mitchell.
Second.
Motion second, set the date. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Set the date of July 21st, 2014 for hearing on the application of Whittier Lofts LLC for a front yard variance of 19 feet instead of the 30 feet and a side yard on a corner of 0 feet instead of the 20 feet as required to construct garage buildings located at 410 West 2nd Avenue, legally described as Block 96, Lawler's First Edition, City of Mitchell.
Move set date.
Second.
Motion second, set the date. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Set the date of July 21st, 2013 for the hearing on the application of David and Paige E. Radke for a front yard variance of 22 feet instead of the 25 feet as required to expand his attached garage located at 1513 South Miller Street, legally described as Lot 16B, Lot 16, Sunnyside Edition, City of Mitchell.
Move set the date.
Motion second, set the date. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Set the date of July 21st, 2014 for a hearing on the application of Hart Family Dental Center of the applicant of Mitchell Christian School owner for a conditional use permit for construction for a professional office and use for personal health services located at 714 West 18th Avenue, legally described as the east 165 feet of Block 3, Mitchell Christian Addition to the City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota, abutting and lying south of the South Dakota Highway number 37 bypass, Lot H1, recorded in Plat Book 15 on page 90, abutting and lying west of lots 1, 2, and 3, Block 3 of Fullerton Properties First Edition, recorded in Plat Book 15 on page 35, and abutting and lying north of the northern loop of West 18th Avenue, recorded in Plat Book 21 on page 50.
I have a question, not about this, but about setting the dates. Is there any reason why setting the date can't be part of the consent calendar? I mean, we're not going to not set the date. I mean, it's just something to think about. Anyway, I'll move to set the date for.
Well, this part is done as the Board of Adjustment, though.
That's,
Oh, that's
you're not
the
the council doing it.
I see.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I know, well.
Like
We could,
You could actually set
It was a
it
good
all
idea
at once
for about 47.
we could in the future
You could actually
leave
set them
off,
all at once by reference for the A and each one, and effectively do a consent agenda. You don't need to read them all individually if you want to.
Go quicker then.
I don't think we voted. We had a motion second on the Hart Family Dental Center. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the City Council to reconvene in regular session.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn the Board of Adjustments in regular session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Hearing on the application of the Exchange Club of Mitchell for a special event malt beverage and wine license located at the Horseman Sports Arena on August 20th, 2014 for the Bull Bash.
We've done this many years. I'll move to approve.
I have a motion and second to approve the application of the Exchange Club. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution number 3202, contingency transfer.
and it's on page 45, and there are actually two from the General Fund of Public Works. One is for $4,000 for recruitment expenses, The other is $42,000 for health and welfare for building demolition, and that's the balance needed to award the bid for demolition of the VFW.
And if we don't award that bid, we don't use this money then, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
So say that again, why do we need to, if we haven't accepted the bid, why do we put money in there already?
Because it's on the agenda to be awarded this evening.
It's gotta be done before.
And just if we do not accept the bid, then this will away.
Move to approve Resolution 3202.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 3202. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Award bids, VFW demolition project 2014-30.
Page 47. We had our bid on July 1st in council chambers for the demo of the VFW building. We had one bidder. Would like to have another one just to get some comparables. The bid was $216,742. Got to thinking about this a little bit about what we have paid for in the past for demo. The Longhorn building was about half this size. That building, the bid came in at $130,000. Schoenfelder's was well over $200,000, and this building is double the size. So I don't think it's quite out of the number of what it should be. It sounds like it's going to be an easier building to take down from what we've been told, and doing some different site investigations of it. So I would recommend, and it's one of the projects we just need to get done, get taken care of so we can move on. This is where the new site will be for City Hall. That way we could get rolling with it. It is a public safety issue right now. We have some small debris and stuff like that falling down on the Main Street side. That's why we got it blocked off there. And we just need it taken care of as soon as we can. We have in the specs that was part of the bid that they have to remove it at least 30 days from the time that the mayor signs the contracts, along with the contractor. If they don't get it down in those 30 days, then there's a $500 penalty per day to get it down in time. So,
Terry, I look at this, I just think Iron Horse Construction just taken the city of Mitchell. I think they're taking, some people get rich off the government, and I think these ones.
His bid for the Longhorn came in at like 96. I know we ended up giving him more, doing more.
his bid
because
was 132, and then we gave him more.
This is a lot more than that. So I wrote, wow, what the heck, in my
You know,
notes.
in reality, if we were looking at 5 numbers and that was the lowest one, we're saying, this is a really good number. But it's so difficult to try to determine if this is good for the city or not without at least 2 bids.
Why do we not have another bid? Do you have any idea why no one else bid?
I think there's a lot of contractors that don't want to deal with this one. You go in there and it's wet, black mold all over the place, and it's a mess that needs to get taken care of.
Is there asbestos in there?
There is a small amount of asbestos that was already looked at. We were told we didn't have any, there's no removal that is needed. Just make sure we wet everything down when we're doing demo.
Jerry, did I understand you right? You say the VFW is a bigger building than the Longhorn?
The VFW is twice the size for square footage. The Longhorn's 25 feet wide. This one's 50 feet wide. This one goes all the way to the back alley. Sure, it's not, part of it is a 2-story, more of the upper part of it, where the Longhorn, I think that was that 2-story all the way? Most of the way it was 2-story.
I agree with the comments that have been made. one of the obvious issues would be, if you reject the bid, is there any guarantee that you'll get any other bidders, which we, why didn't they bid on it if they were interested in it? And secondly, it will obviously delay the demolition of the building if we don't accept the bid tonight. I totally agree that I wish that there were more than one bidder on this type of a project. We don't have any control over it. We only had one bidder on the spillway project, and it came in higher than what we had anticipated. Whether this is a similar situation, I don't know, but I, for one, am certainly anxious to get that eyesore removed, and it also will facilitate the work that needs to be done in siting the city hall on that location, and any delay in that regard also might set the city hall project back. So I guess I don't know whether or not it was being taken or not, but I don't know what options that we would have, and if we do, it's just going to delay it longer.
I feel like we're caught between a rock and a hard spot. I agree completely. I'm wondering what was our estimate? What did we anticipate that this would come in at? Because at this point, holy smokes. Did we have
Well, the contingency transfer is $42,000 less than what we had originally set aside or estimated.
The set aside was $175,000.
If we would, hypothetically, or just talking here, and trying to understand what the delays would be if we did not accept this tonight. Of course, we got 30 days to accept this, but if we denied this tonight and we opened it back up, what is the timetable that would entail? We have to publish it
You're probably looking at another month and a half.
month and a half. Well, the reason I bring it up, I did have a contractor call me today. And he said for whatever reason it got by him. And he's done a lot of commercial demolition, done a lot of it in Sioux Falls. There must have been a news report last night on one of the stations because the wife saw it. And he called up and says, "Is it too late?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Darn." And he says, what will happen if you deny it? And I said, "Well, that's up to the council, but we'll have to decide and talk through it." I said, "Are you interested if we do?" And he said, "Yes, I am." So that was, he came up and took a look at the building. And of course, there's going to be maybe an advantage because he knows what the number is here, but I guess everybody has the ability to either come in lower, the same, or higher. But he did give me an estimate of the dollar amount, and it was significant. Now, who knows what he's going to come in after he takes a look at it. But I think we waited this long, actually, a month and a half. I'm almost willing to take that gamble and see if we can come in a little bit better.
I talked to the mayor after last meeting, I didn't bring it up, but as a new guy in the council, I've seen more than one time it's one bid. Private industry, we don't do that. We're just not allowed to do that. And I think we kind of set ourselves up, maybe not to be taken, but to not know.
And obviously, a lot of that has to do with, we know the contractors are busy. That's part of it. But, yeah.
But I think my biggest question is that, why is it so difficult to get that second bid? Is there something we're doing wrong in our process? Is the timetables too close on I don't know, but it sticks out to me that single bids and we're not getting any bids. Business must be really, really good out there.
Of course, I don't know for a fact, but I think part of this is there was such difficulty with the Longhorn. The asbestos and the additional, and now this is a building that was right next to the Longhorn. You might have people going, we saw what a mess that was, and we don't want to get involved in that. How much additional did we give him on the Longhorn?
I thought it was another.
Actually, the numbers
30?
that came in, his bid, original bid was 109,000. Schoenfelder's bid was 220,000. After we got into the project, we decided that it would be advantageous to shore up the VFW wall, and we had some columns constructed to put underneath the beams of the VFW. That additional amount was like $37,000, which was added to that. And then there was another $28,000 or $9,000 that was added to it to remove a portion of the VFW building. So that's how the number that we arrived at. Whether or not it influences those who are prospective bidders or not, but just if in fact, the original bid of his was 109 and the second place bidder is 220,000. Well, the same with the Garden of Eden building. We only had the one bidder on that, and the bid came in at 29,000, which we thought was very reasonable. And given the bids on the Longhorn, it seemed as if the bids on that were reasonable. Whether or not we're now being taken advantage of because no other bidders on it, but whether or not the 220,000 or 16,000 is a reasonable amount, I really don't have any way of judging whether or not if there were other bidders, whether it would come in significantly lower than that or not, I don't know.
Well, I guess the reason I ask is, Terry's telling us the VFW is roughly twice the size. So if you take 109,000 and it's twice the size and you add 109,000, you're at $218,000.
Yeah.
And, part of this may be on the part of this particular bidder is once bitten, twice shy. I went into the first one and there was this and that and the other thing, and now you have a building of roughly similar construction. I'm just speculating, but as the bidder, I'm anticipating some difficulties.
But the one thing that we did know going into that there was some common walls that were shared, and that was not a secret. Where here, our architect is telling us that there are some beams that kind of flow in, but they're not structural. It's two separate buildings, but yet, again, they're right side by side. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of happening when we saw the two numbers as it came in. But he came back and bid on Garden of Eden, which was good to see. But again, I guess if I got I made a call to an individual that has worked for, or this guy has worked for, and he said he's very good, he's legitimate, he's bonded, he does a good job. He made a mistake, he didn't put his bid in.
Now, the other thing, if I could make a comment, is we have an issue with the Legion. We got moisture damage that's going on in the VFW right now. So that's the reason why, if you've heard that we've cut some holes in the side of the building and some in the roof just to get some airflow. There's some smell going on between the VFW and the Legion and creating some smell inside the Legion. So that's the other reason why I'd like to get this thing taken down, because the Legion is asking us, Mayor and I asking us weekly, is there any way we could move this into emergency mode so we could get this taken down quicker? And so we said we got a council in a couple of weeks. This was a couple of weeks ago. And we said we're moving as fast as we can. We got a bid, and so that's the other reason why I'd like to get this thing taken care of, because it's also creating a moisture issue. We think some of the just stagnant moisture air that's going on inside the VFW is coming through some of the air voids and pockets between the two, because there's two doors that are basically closed shut between the two, and we think it's coming through some of those air pockets in between them.
As Terry pointed out, the condition of the VFW building is deplorable at this point. It has had significant water in it over the last few weeks with the rain that we've had, and a result of that is that there is a horrible stench that is permeating through the walls, whether it's through the doors or not, into the American Legion. And the American Legion has informed us that they feel that they're losing business because people are not patronizing it due to the fact that there's a smell in the Legion coming from the VFW. So they're anxious to get it removed also.
I would just say one last thing. I mean, this guy, we know his work. You know, it's not an unknown known quantity. And then the other thing to consider about gambling, if we don't take this bid, is what if a month and a half from now nobody bids? I mean, that's the other part of it. And now he's moved on to another project, and we've got people who've come in and looked at it and decided they're too busy or it's too complicated or whatever.
If you got no bid, you could negotiate.
Assuming somebody wanted to do that.
Assuming somebody wanted to do it.
I know that the fire department, we had a conversation that they were concerned about the safety, the fire hazard, those kinds of things. Have those issues been shored up at all, or are those concerns still viable that we talked about?
I don't think there's any significant change.
I don't know how we can wait.
And another issue, I'm not necessarily real happy with the idea of awarding this bid to a single bidder, but the east wall of the VFW is starting to bow out, and as you've seen, we put the barricades up there to keep people off the sidewalk. The longer we wait, I think there's more risk involved in that possibly deteriorating and collapsing. Who knows? It's somewhat of a crapshoot. But
To get us off the dime, I'm going to move, we move to award the bid.
is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to award the bid to Iron Man Construction. Let's have a roll call vote.
Olson,
Aye.
Rice,
No.
Tronis,
No.
Harrington,
Aye.
Allen,
No.
Jerks,
No.
Smith.
No.
2 yes, 5 no.
Okay, the motion has failed for lack of majority. So I presume then the next step, Terry, would be to re-advertise
Yeah, reset a date,
and
same specs.
okay.
Hope you guys there.
We could do that, well, you probably don't know the date yet. We could do the reset tonight because there's no legal requirement that we have to officially set a date. So we could, if you come up with a date, we could do that tonight.
We could do that? Let's
I would do it.
move this forward.
How many days do you need? Jerry?
We need 20 days. Oh, and you need time for it to go in the paper.
Paper, you gotta set time for paper to get it in, that takes 5 days. And you gotta have 20 days before your bid opening, start to meet. So you're looking at 30 days.
I would say,
First meeting in August,
you couldn't get it in there by then.
so second meeting in August.
We could always have special meetings.
We're having budget hearing.
Do it right before.
I would say we try to get it in by well, let's just go on the 18th, it'd be a council night. August 18th.
You can't do it before that?
I would say if we can't do it before that, let's have a special meeting.
Well, the problem is having 30 days and then you need almost a week to week and a half to get it for the paper to get it into publishing. So 7th, 1, 2, 3.
We've got budget hearings the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
That doesn't give you 30 days.
No, you need 30 days after the 7th. Then you need a week almost for the paper to have time to republish it. So that gives you the 14th, and you just well do it the 18th, which gives you a council meeting.
You don't gain less.
Well, let's set it for the 18th and then look at it, Terry, if there's a way of backing it up a week, but anything less than that, then we might as well have it the 18th.
Do we gain anything by setting the date tonight?
Well, yeah, you'd gain 2 weeks.
So why don't we try to do that then?
I'd set the date for the 18th.
And that well fits within the agenda in as much as it fits the objective and let them review it, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Well, I will move to set the date then for the VFW demolition project for August 18th,
At 1 o'clock and 1:30.
whatever time.
Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second to set the date of August 18th, 2014 for the accepting bids of the demolition of the VFW building. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Award bids for library custom furniture, equipment, and appliances project 2013-7A2.
If you look on page 49, there are 2 items we would recommend awarding. Item number 10, which is the workroom workstations for $8,100. And then item number 12, the shelving end panels. These are plastic laminate panel ends that would go on the ends of the shelves. Those would be the only 2 bid items that we would recommend awarding to Sunkota. Item number 10 for $8,100 and item number 12 for $5,600.
Is that the same that we did, Terry?
We just, the last meeting, being we had the 30 days, we wanted to look at some of the other bids. We just recommended, I think it was a couple items. This would be all that we would look at doing. And then that gives us a little bit of money to do some, we didn't get any bids for wall coverings. And so we're going to go out and get some quotes for some wall coverings. And then it would give us some extra money left over in the library for some minor miscellaneous items.
I remember 7 was one that we had initially were looking at, because that's the only one that Chuck's paint blind, but that's no longer,
No,
okay.
So we're rejecting everything else?
the other ones that we awarded, yeah, that we already awarded. We're still going to continue with this, but we want to, and I don't remember what those items were from the last meeting, but we also want to award item number 10 and item number 12, in addition to the ones we recommended at the last meeting.
I would move approval of items number 10 and 12, according to those bids.
Second.
We have a motion second to award the bids for item number 10 and 12 to Sunkota Construction. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution number 3201, a plat of Lot 8-A of Riverview Estates, a subdivision of previously platted Lot 8 of River Ridge Estates in the southwest 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 of Section 13, Township 103 North, Range 60 West of the 5th PM, Davison County.
If I could direct your attention to the Planning Commission minutes in the back of your packet, you would see that the Planning Commission has voted and recommended to approve this plat. Just to get your bearings straight, this is straight east of Mitchell, outside our zoning jurisdiction, but it's within 3 miles of the city limits, so state statute requires that the municipality has to review these as well. And my understanding is the County Planning Commission has approved it, and it's on its way to the county commissioners.
Motion to approve Resolution 3201.
Second.
Motion second to approve Resolution 3201. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 2478, supplemental appropriations.
Move to place ordinance 2478 on second reading.
Motion second to place ordinance 2478 on second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion second to adopt ordinance 2478. Roll call vote, please.
Barrington,
Aye.
Jerks,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Olson,
No.
Tronis,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
And ordinance 2478 is adopted. First reading of ordinance 2479, an ordinance of the city of Mitchell, South Dakota, rezoning the real property legally described as Lot 8, Block 44, Cooley and Guernsey Edition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County.
Mayor and council members, if I could direct your attention to the Planning Commission minutes in the back of your package, you would see that the Planning Commission held a hearing on this request for rezoning. And then also there's some background material in the Planning Commission packet that you have received. You would see that we took some testimony, and also the applicant and the prospective buyer was represented by counsel, and I see their counsel is here so if you get into more in-depth questions. Basically what the applicant is requesting is to rezone their one parcel, or the one lot, from its current designation as R2 single-family residential to transportation, warehousing, commercial, which is a commercial designation. And part of the rationale was that there was significant amount of the TWC district in that area. If you go directly to the south, is the parcels that is currently going to be owned by Northwestern Public Service. Then you have Kitty Corner is formerly a city parcel that's now owned by Iverson. And then across the street is a car dealership. So that was kind of the rationale. Again, you could see the minutes provide you some additional information. But the long and the short, the Planning Commission does recommend approval of rezoning this property, and you can see the vote is in the minutes. So I would answer any questions, and I see their counsel is here or if there's any neighborhood input. I'll yield the floor.
Are the Wilsons here that oppose this? Or?
Neil, before Don comes up, Rob Shortstop, what's the zoning on that?
Neighborhood shopping.
Why warehouse?
Just, the rationale is because that was around there, and one of the concerns that the Planning Commission had, that you didn't want a spot zone, one lot, you would have one parcel lot. That was their concern.
I can tell you, Mel, that it made no difference to either the seller or the buyer, because it would have worked both, but it was the Planning Commission's suggestion and Neil's suggestion that it be TWC, because that's what's that's what's across the street on two sides.
I think the other option that was discussed was highway business rather than TWC, but all of the adjoining property owners were TWC, and that was the rationale that they used to.
I can tell you this as well, is that one of the conditions, although it's not here, is that, and I talked to the neighbors after the meeting, and to make it clear that this is conditioned upon this sale taking place. So if Ben doesn't purchase this property from Reimnitz, then this zoning would not go into effect.
So it goes back to R.
It would go back to R. So the neighbors were fine. I believe I don't want to speak for them, but if they're not here, I'll speak for them a
Let me
lot.
stop you there. How can that be true? If we rezone it, it's rezoned.
It can be rezoned conditioned upon the sale taking place. Sale's going to take place.
So what warehouse is going to go there?
It's not going to be a warehouse. It's going to be a show. It's going to be the window shop, and he's going to keep his manufacturing plant downtown. So he's going to make the windows there. This is just going to be a showroom where he has windows on display. It's going to be open Monday through Friday from, I think, 9 to 5. And so the neighbors were fine with that.
So that's a very small lot. Where are people gonna park?
All those plans are out, Mel. We gotta come back with the building plans and those things once the zone.
I guess I'm gonna need to see those before I move to approve anything.
Well, they're in they're in your packet.
Well, I mean, you're looking at Burr Street, and it seems to me that there's a little bit of a hazard there. The neighbors have talked to me about the alley. They don't want any more alley traffic. I'm having a hard time visualizing this. That lot is not that big. How big is the showroom gonna be? It's not gonna be very big if we
No,
have all that parking.
No, it's not gonna be very big.
It would have to be rezoned back to R, it is more, to TWC, and I guess if you want insurance for that, it'd be good.
Sure, we'll give you that assurance because this is just done for,
So, it doesn't happen. I wouldn't read that, your point there, if it's rezoned, but I don't know, I've never heard of a decision.
well, we'll give you the assurance that we'll rezone it. And we talked about the traffic, Lyndon was there and talked possibly about a stop sign, but there's not gonna be much traffic in there, Mel?
This is the corner that says Phil needed,
Right.
that little tiny corner.
Well, it's a regular lot, Mel. There's a garage in the back that's gonna be torn down. There used to be a house there.
There was a fire on that location. The
Right.
house has been removed.
Yeah.
The house was 36 by 70?
That's what they're proposing. Oh.
No. I mean, I'm just trying to visualize.
I don't know what that house was.
And then a parking lot behind.
The garage is gonna be torn down and there'll be a parking lot behind and it'll be, yeah, right,
So access will be on Hanson?
right. Off of Burr. It'll be off of Burr. They'll come into the alley and park.
They'll come into the alley.
So did you have a conversation with the landowners after the Wilsons? Now, are the Wilsons good with this thing? or-
They're not here tonight, and their only question when we left the planning commission was whether or not, if this went through, or if it was rezoned and then Ben didn't purchase it, what would happen? And I said, we would give the assurance, I talked to Mr. Reimnitz, and we'll give the assurance that we'll zone it back. Thought we could do it conditionally, but if Carl says we can't, then we would agree that we would come back and rezone it back, because that's the only deal in the works right now is the sale to Ben.
I talked with Sherry Wilson today, and she is concerned about possible increased traffic in the alleyway. They consider the alley traffic not acceptable now, and it would only be worse if this was there.
The good news is it sits right on the corner, right on Burr.
Well,
It's not in the neighborhood.
if you remember, directly south, we sold that piece of property to Northwestern Public Service. Kitty Corner to the southeast or southwest, we sold to John Iverson. So it's starting to get a feel of being, because they're on a busy street, obviously, so it's a little bit of a feel of commercial.
Well, yeah, there's a car lot, as
Right.
Steve said. The other thing is that lot's been sitting there for over a year for sale, and there's been no residential interest in it whatsoever, and there isn't gonna be any. So it can either sit empty, with weeds growing in it, or it can have a nice showroom.
That's my biggest concern, is a piece of property that it gets seen by thousands of tourists every year that come in and you have this great big sign filled with dirt. I mean, just, you can't ask for a worse place for something like that to sit. You know, and like Don says, nobody's ever gonna buy this piece and build a house there. So either we buy it as a city and turn it into grass that we can mow, or we have somebody put it on the tax roll right now.
As this sits right here, Neil, the 36 by 60, is there going to be any type of variances that will be required?
The only thing in the TWC is that he has to meet a 35-foot front yard, and
Okay.
he's gonna meet that. And then it's up 50 by 142 feet deep. So, yeah, there wouldn't be anything,
So he's satisfied all of it.
yeah, there
Right.
would need a requirement of a variance.
I realize that it's Burr Street, and I realize things can change, but think about your own situation. You live in a residential area, and now the house next to you burns down, and then this happens. I don't think anybody in that neighborhood expected to be living next to a warehouse.
It's not a warehouse.
Well, could be. Transportation, warehouse, and commercial.
That'd be a pretty small warehouse.
It's going to be a pretty small showroom.
Mhm.
And I see in the minutes, they projected that they anticipated somewhere between 3 or 4 customers a day and a high of 10.
Right.
What are they basing that on, Don?
Based on the traffic flow they have now coming in there. His business is going out to your house and measuring your windows. What he needs is a showroom where someone can come in and say, oh, this is what it looks like. And so they get, as he said, a high, maybe 3 to 5 a day, 10's on a great day. It's a home-based business to go out to.
And when they talk about access to by the alley, from the alley, is that the alley to the north?
Yes. So it'd be pretty short. It's a turn in, into the parking lot, and into the showroom. Off of Burr.
Why does the access have to be from the alley? Why can't it be from Burr Street itself?
Well, if it can, Mel, it will be. I think right now the curb cut would be for the alley. So if it can be altered to go into the parking, then it can be done that way. But then you'd have the curb cut into the parking lot plus an alley. But if that's okay with the city, I'm not so sure that can't be done.
Well, the residents are concerned about a number of things, but the alley traffic, it seems to be the number one thing.
I don't know if it would get any better by accessible from Burr Street. I mean, the alley traffic, I don't think it would get any better. I mean, if you pull in the alley and take your first right into the parking lot, it's the ones that are coming from the other way, so it doesn't matter where the curb cutout is.
Right.
If they're coming from the other direction, they're going to the alley, so.
And I don't know who will do that.
Take your
So she's
quickest point.
The Wilsons are assuming, based on their comments, that that there will be large trucks going in and out of here, the heavy equipment, she's saying.
And that was discussed at the planning commission, and that's not the case. It's a showroom for demonstration of windows. The windows will be built downtown where they are now, and that's where the trucks and things will be stored.
They won't park any of their own vehicles that
No.
go out or anything?
No, they won't need to, because they'll still be downtown.
But it would be zoned for that.
Mhm.
So if they wanted to move production, they could.
I don't think it would fit in their mill. And again, it's not us
I
asking,
understand,
it's
but
not us
all I
asking for
know
that
from my
zone.
legislative experiences, all I know is the words on the paper.
Right.
And the words on the paper say, transportation, warehousing, commercial. So I'm not arguing your good intentions. I'm just saying if we change the zoning, that is the zoning. And so if they wanted to, they could move all their manufacturing to that site.
So what
It
if
would
we
be okay by
changed
the
it
zone.
to the neighborhood store, like what they've done with Rock Shirt Stop? Why not do that?
I don't know if you can do that without re-advertising. And so my clients came in and talked to Neil, and Neil suggested that we do TWC because that's what it's zoned. We then went to the planning commission and said, we don't care whether it's neighborhood shopping, as long as it fits. They said, let's keep it TWC. And so now we're here tonight, and the council say, well, no, we don't want TWC, let's go back. And so if we got to start the process over again, we lose another month.
Well, I don't want the city to own another piece of property, which we already own enough the way it is, and that's what's gonna happen here if we don't let somebody develop this piece, and it ain't gonna be a residential house. So I'm gonna move to put first reading the ordinance 2479.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place ordinance 2479 on first reading. Any further discussion?
I'd like to add one thing quick, Mayor. Just for information to the council. Council knows, yes, manufacturing could go in there. Now, without a lot of code creeping up on it, because it's too close to the product line. If they manufacture, there'd be noise, there'd be a hood, there'd be a firewall. And on a corner lot, if it remained R2, right away you get 20-foot outside corner knocked off that 50-foot lot. and 3 foot off the other side. So now you're 27 foot overhang to overhang, and you're 25 in the front, 25 in the rear. So now you have another 50 foot taken off the front and rear on the residence. And that's not very desirable, the point that Marty makes. A residence would be very tough to put in there. We already had one tonight with the Studer variance on his mother, and that's the smallest governor's home you can get. And it was on a corner lot that we demoed up on Lawler, and it just barely fits in there with the variance. And it's a nice new home, but it's just for information.
So what zoning would it be to be manufacturing?
You're right, TWC could go in.
Okay, well, that's my point.
But my point is,
No, I understand, but that's my point.
they're too close to the property line, then there'd be a firewall. Your hood or any noise ordinance, your hood's gotta be so far away from any exhaust, and there's a noise, ordinance on manufacturing to so many decibels. I believe we can get into that if we need it. Much like when Boyd's Gun Stock moved over here, that was an item that was looked at.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, place ordinance 2479 on first reading. Have a roll call vote, please.
Tronis,
Aye.
Barrington,
Aye.
Jerks,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Olson,
No.
Rice,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
First reading of ordinance 2480, an ordinance of the city of Mitchell, South Dakota, rezoning the real property legally described as Lot 8, B, and 8C, less Lot 8-1 of Lot 8C, Block 8 in the Morning View Addition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, Block 7, less H1 in Morning View Addition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County.
You know, before you start up, for 2 meetings, we actually had addresses. What happened to that?
Because these ones aren't, this is vacant land.
Okay. But there was, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's tough to.
Can you tell us the?
yeah, I'll get to it in just a second. Basically, what this is I can direct your attention to the planning commission minutes. The reason there's 2 different properties here is, and don't want to speak for Dakota Wesleyan because representatives of Dakota Wesleyan are here, so I'll let them talk about it, but I'm just going to kind of lay in context what the planning commission's decision was here. The reason there's also 2 separate ordinances is there's 2 separate owners. One parcel is currently owned by Dakota Wesleyan University. The other parcels are currently owned by the Medemas. And the parcels that are owned by Dakota Wesleyan are zoned residential, and they wish to rezone those to public lands, which would be consistent with the rest of the campus. And the parcels that are owned by the Medemas, which you should have a drawing, and you should also have a copy of the zoning map in the planning commission packets, are TWC, so which they wish to rezone those to public lands to make them consistent with the whole campus. The planning commission held a hearing on these requests, and they have recommended approval of rezoning these, even though, again, they're 2 separate because they're 2 separate owners and 2 separate actions. But the Medema properties are the ones that basically hug the interstate, and the rest of it is all currently owned by Dakota Wesleyan. Representatives of Dakota Wesleyan are here. I'll let them talk a little bit more specifically about what their plans are.
Okay, just before we let Teresa talk to us, so this is Norway,
Yep.
and this is,
The interstate.
this is the.
This is
interstate.
Medema right here.
Yeah, I
Yep.
see that. So
If
is
you
this
look
where
at the-
Medemas already have their garage that
No,
they?
they're over here.
Oh, it's over here, okay. Okay.
Their garage is on 8A.
No, that-
Okay. So this would be land that we have recently acquired, as well as land that we intend to acquire very shortly. There's one parcel you'll see that is not within this zoning request that will be coming before you in 30 days because we have acquired it since but did not have it at the time and weren't sure about whether we would be able to acquire it. We have now since acquired it. So this is the land that we would eventually hope to develop a new project on. I think you might have read about it in the paper that we're going to be putting up a wellness center, and this is where we would like to locate it.
Which lots are
If you look at, yeah, if you look at the one that says 13, what map are you looking at? Okay, yeah, if you look at lot 13, where it says Harry Palmer on it, that's the one that we just acquired last week.
And you already own?
We own all the other ones, minus the Medema property, which is contingent on the rezoning.
Did you get that corner from?
Yes, we did. Yep.
This one?
DWU would have been landlocked, but for this acquisition.
That's correct. Yep. This gives a nice development to let our campus be visible by the interstate.
I move that we place ordinance number, are we on 2480 on first reading?
Second.
I have a motion second to place an ordinance 2480 on first reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First reading of ordinance 2481, an ordinance of the City of Mitchell, South Dakota, rezoning the real property legally described as the east one half, the west one half of Block 1 in Morning View Addition, City of Mitchell, and the east half of Block 2, Morning View Addition to the City of Mitchell, all of Block 2A and all of Block 2B within Block 2, including vacated Pine Street, Morning View Addition, City of Mitchell.
Yeah, place ordinance 2481.
Second. Motion and second to place ordinance 2481 on first reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First reading of ordinance 2482, an ordinance amending chapter 9-1 of the Mitchell City Code for adopting the 2012 edition of the International Fire Code and making other amendments as necessary to reflect the adoption of said code.
Well, I go back to all the extra things that were in that code that were clearly meant for Southern California. And, no, I'm serious, the outdoor grills and that kind of thing, that's all Southern California, air pollution, that kind of thing. And so, you know, are we gonna just take this mother, lock, stock, and barrel, or are we gonna go through and have amendments? What are we gonna do?
You got some exceptions or amendments out of it, right, Carl?
Oh, I made the statutory amendment to delete, not affect or mobile manufactured homes, certain.
Residential sprinkler systems.
No sprinklers in any single family dwelling unit, state law, prohibitions in the code, that must be applied to the code.
Do you want other things accepted out of it?
I don't know, I think if my impression was after the last meeting was that what would happen would be as, first of all, I made the point that only the city can invoke enforcement of ordinances. And that is some comfort there, if you will. And secondly, that to the extent that in the future, if you want to get this online and take out some of those things that are meant for Southern California, we can certainly do that by amendment anytime. I don't know, and where do we want to start enforcing it? I thought was also something that we need to do.
Right. Well, you know, if we're gonna be reasonable in our enforcement, you know, that's one thing, but, and we obviously need to update to the newer code. But I just hate passing laws, and that's what we're doing, that we don't intend to enforce. You know, and so taking some of it out is great, but.
And we can still work on it. I still have the code here, and anybody that wants to put time in to read something that's very hard to read unless you're.
Is the propane tank a consideration? Concern?
Yeah, I mean, I just, what I'm thinking of, this is what I'm thinking of, and I was on the Commerce Committee for 12 years, and this is exactly the kind of crap that we dealt with. So now a propane tank blows up, or a grill, catches a house on fire, and now an insurance company says, well, you know, that 2012 code there said you weren't supposed to have that grill there or that propane tank, and now all of a sudden your housing insurance is voided. And if you think I'm kidding, I'm not.
You're right.
So that's what has me worried.
So, what's, I mean,
Well, my initial approach was to try to go through it comprehensively, and it was just overwhelming. But there are some things like that we can probably pick off pretty easily.
And, you know, it would be fine for us home folks. You know, you're not going to send the fire marshal out to tell people they're barbecuing too close to the house, but those insurance inspectors who come from New York, California, or whatever, you're not going to get your check. So that's my concern.
That's what we're doing. If
is there any way?
I can identify, take the time in the next 2 weeks. Probably should have done it last week, but we have an extra week, so I would try to go through it again and somewhat familiar with it, although it is confusing to me, and maybe with the help of various, explaining all the various rules and whatnot, and go through it, the cost of those things that is the top of it.
We can look at the grilling thing. Is there other areas you'd like us to?
Well, frankly, I haven't looked at the code, but I looked at it for many years in the legislature, and this is exactly, I mean, we would have knockdown, drag-out fights over, you know, how many briquettes and whether it's an open grill, and, you know, you'd just be amazed at the kind of stuff. And the only reason we did it is because the state insurance commissioner came and said, you know, you can say this is fine if you want to, but I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. If somebody's trailer house blows up or somebody's home burns down, they're not going to get their insurance money. So obviously, we can't be under the 2002 code.
Right, we've got to upgrade it sometime.
But at the same point, this is South Dakota, you're going to grill outdoors, we use propane, there are wooden decks, and a lot of that stuff is in that code, and if something happens, you know, these insurance people look for ways to deny it.
So here's.
First thing an insurance company seeks to do, there'll be some that disagree with me by my observation, see if they can get out of it.
That's right.
Just out of curiosity, is there any way to go at it from the opposite direction and take our current code, which obviously we can grill, is that correct? I mean, is there any way to go?
I'm not even sure about that.
Oh, so we can't take what we like about our current code and.
I think the best thing for me to do is to take a run at this next couple weeks and see what I can do. If we need to defer it another 2 weeks after the next meeting, if we can't do it satisfactorily, but do it with merit. Me going through it myself, I just become overwhelmed.
Well, I wouldn't be.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be opposed to saying okay to first reading, and then when it gets to second reading, do it. But, and again, I've been out of the legislature.
We'll establish amendments on the second reading.
Right. I've been out of the legislature for 10 years, but my experience has been you either adopt the code with, you know, with exceptions, or you don't adopt the code. It's not a deal where you can, you know, say, well, we like paragraph, you know, section A from 2002, and we'll take that, and we like B from 2000. It's either, when I say all or none, I don't mean quite, you can exempt yourself, but you either take the 2012 code,
right,
or you don't.
And there is an awful lot in there that we do need, like the hazmat stuff and public safety things of that nature. And
New construction code.
The best thing to do with each meter, and maybe I should have thought of it a long time ago. Be that as it may, the situation is what it is. And sit down with Marius and Paul Morris, and rather than me trying to decipher it myself, it would probably be helpful. Even John, you get that, you know, the building class 1, building class 2, building class 3. Go read them, but then when I go read this, I forgot what they were. You know, I don't deal with it.
I think we hear your concerns. We can see if we can come up with some type of amendments that might be acceptable.
So what I will do is I'll move to approve ordinance 2482 on first reading with the understanding that you fellows have the flexibility to bring us the amended version.
Deletion, if we're not ready, which is entirely possible because of the extensiveness and the comprehensiveness of by next meeting, we can always continue it until the next meeting to get additional time. A month ought to be 2 weeks. Maybe we should be able to get it done, maybe we can't. Within a month, we ought to be able to get it.
I'll second that.
Didn't Marius tell us that other cities have adopted this?
They have, a number of them.
And so, I mean, instead of reinventing the wheel, I mean, they'd have to have the same concern as we would.
They do. I mean, even the grilling thing is for a safety issue. The code is in there, so your house doesn't start on fire.
So they
Grilling.
bought into this package as,
A number of them, I'm assuming, have. Marius knows it much better than I do. He is ill tonight, otherwise he would have been here. But
And some of it is, you know, it's just awful. I haven't looked at this one, but I've looked at other ones. It's just awful to go through them. But unless you go through them, you don't know. And there's, honest to God, that is for Southern California because of all the outdoor grilling and all the people and all the rest. And it really doesn't have any application to us. But if you adopt it and something happens, the insurance company goes, wait.
That's very possible. It does happen.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to place ordinance 2482 on first reading with the understanding that we will try to update and amend prior to second reading and adoption. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First reading of ordinance 2483, supplemental appropriations.
This is a new computer desktop and design software for the new Public Works Director. Wanted to get this rolling, so we had this in place for when he got here towards the end of next month.
What's wrong with the old computer? Tim take it with him or what?
Tim purchased it from the city
Okay.
because he used it for so long. He had a laptop and he bought it from the city, so we have no computer for the guy now.
Okay.
And then the design software is called Civil 3D. It's the same design software that we use in our office. So we currently do some design, and he wants to do some more. So that way we could work together by doing more design and stuff like that together with him instead of us printing off drawings and him looking at drawings where he can look at everything on the screen.
do we own that software or do we pay a license?
We own the software. We have a subscription where we pay a subscription maintenance fee. So this 59, or this amount that's in here, is to purchase the software, and then we have a yearly subscription fee that we have with our other software to get updates, throughout the year. So. It's, the updates, I think, are, for the full year, it's like $500-600 per year. And the other reason why we do this is a lot of the different engineers that we get drawings from, they're updated to the new version every year. So if we don't stay up to the current versions, we can't open up a lot of their software and stuff, their drawings. So we just try to stay up to date as we can.
Move to place ordinance 2483 on first reading.
Second.
Motion second to place ordinance 2483 on first reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval of a grant agreement with the South Dakota Department of Health and Public Safety and Preparedness and Response in the amount of $24,717 for mosquito control efforts.
Just a little information, about a month or so ago, put in a grant request to the Department of Health concerning mosquito dollars. Mitchell was fortunate enough to be awarded the third highest. Maximum grant amount was $30,000. Sioux Falls and Aberdeen both received 30, and we received the next highest amount. So Primarily, we're going to look at using this for additional chemical equipment. We're going to upgrade our some of our traps. We're going to be also involved in the statewide. They're ramping up their surveillance program. We're already doing a lot of the things as a part of our normal, operations that will tie into their surveillance. Essentially, all we're going to be doing is sending them bugs in little vials to their lab. But, we're already doing the collections, making the counts, identifying the species, things like that. So I think that probably helped our case a little bit. And again, we'll upgrade some of our equipment. I want to see if we can even pick up a used pickup out of this. We've got one of our spray vehicles that is a 6-cylinder running on 5 cylinders. So, we need another vehicle for that too. So that's what that's all about.
Dusty, how much does it cost every time we spray for mosquitoes?
Every time?
I mean,
That varies. Per time. Like I said, I was going to say the entire town. I'm not 100% sure because a lot of times we'll do, spraying of different areas for special events or things like that. I'll get you that information.
I'd be interested in knowing just because.
Just on an average.
I feel like it makes such a difference. I mean, I know it does, so.
Yeah.
I know the people appreciate it.
Yes. Yep.
Taxpayers always love it when you don't spend as much money on something except mosquito control. Nobody thanks you for having money left in the mosquito control budget.
I learned that the first year.
Yeah.
Is this the first time we've got a grant?
I know they suspended the grant program for a long time. Actually, since this is the first time they've had this available since I've been up here.
There previously were grants that we received for mosquito control.
They did for a number of years.
And then they stopped.
Yes.
Yep.
And then they stopped. Yep.
I'll move to approve the grant agreement. Second.
Motion second to approve the grant agreement between the South Dakota Department of Health. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval of the pavement maintenance entitlement transfer for the Mitchell Airport with the South Dakota Department of Transportation.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion second to approve the maintenance transfer for the Mitchell Airport. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval of change order number 2 to Muller Lumber for Corn Palace renovation and additions, city project number 2013-12 for drop heads in corridors in the amount of $542 for an adjusted contract amount of $3,625,043.
Move to approve.
Motion second to approve change order number 2 to Muller Lumber. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Change order number 3 to Muller Lumber for Corn Palace renovation and addition, city project number 2013-12 for demolition of existing riser valve in the amount of $17,943 for an adjusted contract amount of $3,642,986.
Terry, if you would, you told us all this on the tour, but of course we weren't on the radio or on the internet. So if you could just replow the ground about the fire suppression and the sludge that came out of there and those kinds of things.
When we were doing some demo on the main floor, one of the contractors hit one of the fire sprinkler lines on the main floor, and we had water going all over the place. As we were cutting some of the lines off to cap some of them off, we had a lot of water, sludge, because the system had never been cleaned out. We found, and as you've heard earlier that Mary has said, that we had some sprinkler heads that had never been cleaned and they were plugged up on the second level. So chances are, if we would have ever had a fire, some of those heads would have never, released water or things like that. So it was, in a way, a good kind of thing to get figured out. We have now flushed the system. They took 5 heads and they sent them in for testing. It takes 4 to 5 weeks to get the results. But I have a feeling that it's going to come up to where this is I think, a huge awareness for more of the management for the Corn Palace, that they're going to need to budget money to do fire system checks and things like that, just to make sure that things like this are caught. As part of that, once we started digging into the fire system, we found that on the change order number 3, the main riser pipe had no existing valve, and it had no backflow preventer or a check valve. So whenever we would hook onto it and we would pump water from the truck, we don't want it to go back into the system. We want it to go to help fight a fire. Well, there's no check valve or anything like that to help prevent contamination to the existing water system. And plus, it is not to any type of a local code, current code that we have right now. So what our plan is to put in a backflow preventer and a check valve into the old 1977 system. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a T in there and then have a future connection to where that new T will serve the, City Hall. City Hall has absolutely no fire protection at all. No sprinklers, nothing in the current system. So when they do phase 2, they're going to have to add sprinkler system throughout the whole City Hall building. There's going to be a T that will be connected to this new line. We thought about waiting until we did phase 2, but thought this would be a better time to do it because we still need the backflow preventer on that fire line that we don't currently have because it's out of date and it's out of code compliance. So this is to get us up to compliance, and some of the money that we would have to do in phase 2 will be taken care of as part of this change order.
And this really couldn't have been anticipated initially?
No. We had some notes on the plan saying contractors shall conform to code changes, but it's not a really clear way for a contractor to know what he needs to do. So whenever I do different things like that, I try to include as much detail so a contractor knows what to bid. So I think this is a needed thing, and it's too bad it wasn't in part of the original. So.
But it's safe to say that had we not renovated the Corn Palace at all, and, we tested it, or we tested it by fire, we'd end up making this expenditure anyways.
Yeah, and we've had some big issues with the whole fire side. Like, we never knew once we threw the alarms in the, new locker room stage area that you can't even hear it out in the arena. So by doing this project, it's been a huge knowledge point of, because we tried it. We were in the arena, and there was nothing going on. We turned on the fire system back in the locker rooms. You couldn't hear it in the arena. And there's lights and all that go on in those back hallways, but you can't see them from the arena. The only way you'd know is if you got people running out of the locker rooms trying to go outside. Yeah.
And if they went out the back way, you wouldn't.
You would never know. So by doing this is, I think, a great thing. We will have to at some time test all those heads that are in the arena area because they've probably never been flushed or things like that. But I think this is a good step. And you're probably going to see more requests going down the road once we get the lobby done. And I think the rest of the system needs to be checked just as a part of public health and safety.
Sure.
Move to approve change order number 3.
Second. Motion and second to approve change order number 3 to Moeller Lumber. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Change order number 4 to Moeller Lumber for Corn Palace renovations and additions, city project number 2013-12 for hose valve demolition in the amount of $1,469 for an adjusted contract amount of $3,644,445.
I want to make one comment on this. So these are those existing hose cases that you see. There's two on the main floor, one by the men's bathroom, one by the women's bathroom. Then there's two upstairs. Two of these were already being removed by the plans. Two were going to stay. Mary has said with the new fire sprinkler system we're putting in, we don't need these hose cabinets anymore. The change order that you have for 1469 needs to be changed to 1226. We need to change the contract amount. The price that the contractor gave us was to remove all four. Well, we already had two in the project to remove. So he misquoted us that price. So I need you to change the change order to 1226. 1226 even. 1,226. And it'll reflect a change.
On page 91, it says 1,270.
Okay, that 1270 was their original amount, and then as per a contract, they got to add their profit and different charges.
You gave us a number lower than that.
And this would be the previous number. Let me give you what their number was. Their modified number on that same sheet would be 1,050 instead of 1,270.
So I guess what Steve's trying to get at is why are we voting on 1226 instead of 1250?
Because that is just their quote. Well, they are a sub, so there's insurance and bond costs, overhead and profit and excise tax that gets added to those amounts.
Instead of going from 1,270 to 1,469, it's going from 1,050 to 1,226.
Right, correct.
So noted.
Motion to change or approve change order number 4 to Mullen Lumber.
Second.
Motion and second to approve change order number 4 to Muller Lumber. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We adjourned at 9:08.
Hey, I don't mean to tap on the screen door about the fire thing.
Oh, I had the same. Oh, yeah.
If you would like me to go with the plan, or if you would like me to be on a committee for that.
Oh, okay.
Why don't you?
Very good.
About that.
That's right.
What happens when an insurance company comes in?